All right, diving in today to You Are the Universe by Deepak Chopra and Menas Kafatos.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, you sent this over,
Yeah.
and you mentioned how fascinated you are with like quantum physics and consciousness, all that good stuff. And this book really goes there.
It really does.
Like some wild ideas in here
Yeah.
about how our observation changes reality and all that.
Yeah.
And what it actually means to say we are the universe.
Right.
Like literally.
It really flips that whole classic science view on its head, you know? The universe is this thing out there,
Yeah.
completely separate from us just observing it.
Right.
Chopra and Kafatos are really saying, no, we're not just passively watching this thing unfold. We are active participants.
Oh, I like that.
Shaping it.
From passive observer to active participant.
Absolutely.
And so the book starts out by really just exploding this whole idea of a separate observer and a separate universe.
Yes.
Saying they're totally intertwined.
Totally. And they use this great analogy of a dancer and the band. You can't have one without the other. They exist in this dynamic relationship, constantly shaping and influencing each other. Consciousness and the universe are inseparable partners in this cosmic dance.
So it's more than just the fact that we're made of stardust, which is amazing on its own.
Right.
It's that our awareness actually shapes the universe we're a part of.
Yeah, that's the core argument here. And they bring in some interesting things from quantum physics to support that.
Okay.
Like, for example, the observer effect.
Yeah.
You mentioned that.
That's the one that blows my mind.
The idea that just observing a quantum experiment can change the outcome.
Yeah, are these particles like waiting for us to make up our minds about what they're going to do? Or
Exactly. And there's this example they talk about.
Okay.
How a single photon can act as either a wave or a particle.
Right.
And it's the act of measuring it that seems to determine which form it takes.
Wow.
So if you think about it, that means consciousness isn't just observing reality. It might actually be a fundamental force in shaping what reality eye tests.
Okay, my brain's starting to bend a little bit here.
Yeah.
If we follow that logic all the way through,
Yeah.
it's not just that we're in the universe.
Right.
We are the universe.
That's the big idea, and they're not shying away from it at all.
Oh.
The universe for them is not just a poetic metaphor,
Mhm.
it's a statement of fact.
Wow.
Our thoughts, our emotions, our perceptions,
Ah.
they're all contributing to the fabric of reality.
Okay, it's a big leap, I'll admit.
It is.
But I'm curious to see how they back it up.
Yeah,
They weave together the scientific and the philosophical perspectives.
they do.
And there's this whole concept of the cosmic self
Yes.
that I'm trying to wrap my head around.
It's a key idea.
What is that exactly?
So they're making this distinction between our personal self, the me that we usually identify with, bound by our daily experiences or ego, our limitations.
Right.
And then this more expansive cosmic self.
Okay.
This is like our infinite, unchanging essence. The part of us that's connected to the universe at the deepest level.
Okay, so if I'm picturing this right, it's like the cosmic self is the ocean,
Okay,
and our personal self is a wave on that ocean.
I like that.
The wave has its own shape and movement,
Yeah.
but it's ultimately part of that vast ocean.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Okay.
And this idea leads right into how they tackle some of the big existential questions
Right.
that we all ponder,
Yeah.
What came before the Big Bang?
Mhm.
Why does the universe seem so perfectly fine-tuned for life?
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter dedicated to 7 of these big questions.
And their answers are definitely mind-bending from what I've read.
They are.
Like the idea that time might not be this linear absolute thing,
Yeah.
but a construct of consciousness
Right.
blew my mind.
It's a big one.
It is a big one.
They argue that what we perceive as time might just be a way for our minds to organize experience,
Okay.
not an objective truth about the universe. So that really challenges how we think about reality working.
If our consciousness is shaping reality in some way, does that mean we actually have free will?
Yeah?
Or are we just puppets?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that they really wrestle with in the book.
Yeah.
And they come down on the side of free will,
Right.
saying it's not an illusion.
It's interesting.
It's a fundamental aspect of our existence. It's a power we have to influence the reality we experience.
But how does that work with the idea of universal laws governing everything?
Right.
Like, it seems like those two things would clash.
It's a good point, and this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The book proposes that free will doesn't mean we can just defy the laws of physics or
Yeah.
bend reality to our every whim.
Right.
It's more about understanding how our choices, intentions, beliefs interact with those universal laws to co-create the reality we experience.
So it's not about denying the laws of physics, but understanding how our consciousness participates in them.
Exactly. It suggests a much more dynamic and participatory relationship between ourselves and the universe than we typically imagine.
So that leads to a huge question then.
It does.
If we are the universe shaping reality with our consciousness, what kind of reality are we creating?
Right. What are we putting out there?
Yeah.
What are we making?
It's a powerful thought, right?
It is.
That we're all co-creating a reality, not just observing it.
Yeah.
But if that's true, then how do we actually harness that power?
Right.
Does the book give us any guidance on how to consciously shape the reality we experience?
It does. It really does.
Okay.
And that's where the universe gets really practical, you know?
Yeah.
It's one thing to intellectually grasp these concepts, but the real magic happens when we start embodying them in our daily lives.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the ideas and then just go back to living life as usual.
It is, yeah.
So how do we actually bridge that gap
Right, how do we put this into practice?
between the theory and the practice?
They highlight several practices that can help us connect with our cosmic selves and tap into that creative power.
Yeah.
Things like meditation, mindfulness, self-inquiry, gratitude visualization.
You know, I gotta admit, sometimes those practices feel a little woo-woo to me.
I hear that.
Like, I get that they're supposed to be good for you, but how do they actually connect to this whole you are the universe idea?
It's easy to dismiss these practices as just New Age fluff.
Yeah.
But they're actually grounded in ancient wisdom traditions that have been exploring the nature of consciousness for millennia.
So it's not just about like feeling good or relaxing.
It goes much deeper than that.
Okay.
Take meditation, for example. It's not just about emptying your mind or zoning out.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deeper awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment.
So instead of getting swept away by every thought or feeling, it's about creating some space to observe them.
Exactly. That's where the connection to the cosmic self comes in. By quieting the chatter of the personal self, the everyday ego, we can create space for that deeper, more expansive awareness to emerge.
So it's like meditation helps us tune in to that ocean of consciousness we were talking about.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Okay.
And mindfulness builds on that awareness by bringing it into our daily lives.
Okay.
It's about paying attention to the present moment, to the sights, sounds, sensations of our experience without getting lost in our thoughts about the past or worries about the future.
Right. It's so easy to spend our lives on autopilot.
It is.
Just going through the motions without really being present.
And when we're not present, we're missing out on the richness of life.
Yeah.
Mindfulness helps us wake up to the miracle of simply being alive in this incredible universe.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these practices can really shift our perspective.
Yeah.
What about self-inquiry?
Yeah.
That one's always felt kind of intimidating to me.
It can sound daunting, but it's essentially about asking ourselves deep questions about who we are, what we believe, what truly matters to us.
Right.
The key is to approach those questions with curiosity and openness,
Okay.
not trying to force answers.
So it's not about like coming up with some definitive statement about who I am.
Right.
It's more about exploring those questions and seeing where they lead.
Exactly. It's like peeling back the layers of conditioning and societal expectations to discover our authentic selves.
Right.
The selves that are aligned with our deepest values and aspirations.
You know, we all have these stories we tell ourselves about who we are.
We do.
But self-inquiry helps us question those stories.
It does.
And see if they're actually true.
And as we start to see ourselves more clearly, gratitude naturally arises.
Well,
It's about appreciating the good things in our lives, but also appreciating the very fact of existence, the miracle of being alive in this vast and mysterious universe.
I can see how that shift in perspective from focusing on what we lack to appreciating what we have could be really powerful. It's like we're tuning our frequency to abundance rather than scarcity.
Precisely. And that brings us to visualization,
Okay.
which is about using our imagination to create images and feelings aligned with our desires and intentions.
This is where I get a little skeptical.
I understand.
Like, I love to daydream as much as the next person.
Yeah.
But can simply visualizing something actually make it happen?
That's a common question, and the book addresses it head on.
Okay.
The idea isn't that we can just magically manifest anything we want by thinking about it.
Right.
It's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
Remember, the concept of consciousness shaping reality.
Yeah.
Visualization is about consciously using that creative power. It's like planting seeds in the fertile ground of the universe and then nurturing them with our attention and intention.
So it's not about forcing outcomes, but about aligning our energy with what we want to create.
That's it. And it's not just about material possessions or external achievements.
No.
It can also be about cultivating inner qualities like peace, compassion, creativity.
So we're using visualization to create a blueprint for the reality we want to experience.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And the more we practice these techniques, meditation, mindfulness, self-inquiry, gratitude, visualization, the more we strengthen our connection to our cosmic selves, and the more powerfully we can participate in shaping our reality.
You know, as we're talking about all this, I'm realizing that this isn't just about understanding the universe.
Right.
It's about understanding ourselves.
Exactly.
It's like we're looking through this cosmic mirror and seeing our own infinite potential reflected back at us.
That's beautiful.
It is.
The universe is not just a catchy title.
Right.
It's a call to action, an invitation to step into our full potential as conscious creators.
So after all this mind-bending exploration, where does it all lead? What's the ultimate message, the takeaway?
I think it boils down to this.
Yeah.
We are not just insignificant specks in a vast, indifferent universe.
Right.
We are the universe, each of us, a unique expression of the cosmic consciousness that created it all.
Wow.
And with that awareness comes a profound sense of responsibility and possibility.
So it's not just about understanding the universe, it's about embracing our role in it.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our thoughts, our actions, our very being have an impact on the fabric of reality. It's about shifting from a mindset of separation and limitation to one of unity and infinite potential.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
And it makes me wonder, if we all have this power to shape reality, what kind of world could we create if we consciously chose to use it for good?
That's the question that lies at the heart of this deep dive into You Are the Universe.
Yeah.
And it's a question we'll continue to explore as we move into the final part of our discussion.
It really does kind of linger, doesn't it?
It does.
If we're all part of this cosmic dance shaping reality with our
Yes.
being, what does that mean for how we actually live, how we make choices, how we relate to each other?
Right. How do we bring this down to Earth?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just about stargazing and feeling awestruck by the vastness of it all.
Right.
It's about integrating these insights into our everyday lives.
That's where I struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to get inspired by these big sweeping ideas, but then I get bogged down in like the nitty-gritty of daily life.
Right.
Work deadlines, relationship conflicts, just trying to keep all the balls in the air.
I hear that.
How do we bridge that gap?
Yeah, that's the real work, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where those practices we were talking about,
Okay.
meditation, mindfulness, self-inquiry, gratitude, visualization, they become essential.
Okay.
They're not just about feeling good or escaping reality.
Right.
They're tools for aligning ourselves with our cosmic nature,
Okay.
for accessing that deeper wellspring of wisdom and creativity that the book talks about.
So it's about making those practices a regular part of our lives, even if it's just for a few minutes each day,
Absolutely.
to cultivate that connection.
Yes.
But then how does that actually translate into living differently?
Think of it this way: when we're caught up in the whirlwind of our thoughts and emotions, reacting to everything that comes our way, it's like we're lost in a dense forest, unable to see the bigger picture.
Right.
But those practices help us create space to climb to the top of a mountain where we can see the entire landscape. We gain perspective.
So we're not just reacting to everything life throws at us.
Right.
We're responding from a place of greater awareness.
Exactly. And from that vantage point, we can start to make choices that are more aligned with our values, our purpose, our deepest sense of what's right.
So we're less driven by fear.
Yes, less driven by scarcity, by the need to control everything.
And more guided by
a deeper understanding of our interconnectedness.
Okay.
Our role as participants in this grand cosmic unfolding.
It's like we're tapping into a source of wisdom and guidance that's bigger than our individual egos.
That's the idea. And as we make choices from that place of expanded awareness, our actions naturally become more aligned with the well-being of the whole.
It's not about being perfect.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's about integrating those cosmic insights into the messy, beautiful reality of our everyday lives.
So how might this actually look?
Okay.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. Think about a conflict with a loved one.
Okay.
Typically, we might react defensively,
Yeah.
trying to protect ourselves,
Right.
to be right to win the argument.
Mm.
But if we can approach that situation from that cosmic perspective,
Okay.
remembering that we're both part of this interconnected web of being,
Yeah.
it might shift how we respond.
Okay.
We might listen more deeply,
Right.
speak with more compassion,
Mm-hmm.
seek understanding, rather than trying to dominate.
That's a good example.
It's about bringing that sense of awe and interconnectedness that we feel when we contemplate the stars
Right.
into our relationships, our
Yeah.
work, our creative endeavors, even the mundane tasks of daily life.
So You Are the Universe is not just a philosophy.
Right.
It's an ongoing practice.
Yes.
A way of approaching life.
Yes, with a sense of wonder and possibility.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive,
It has.
full of thought-provoking ideas and practical insights.
It really has.
As we wrap up our exploration of You Are the Universe, what's the most important message you hope our listeners take away?
I hope they leave feeling empowered,
Okay.
knowing that they're not just insignificant specks in a vast and indifferent cosmos.
Right.
They are the universe.
Wow.
And they have the power within them to create a life and a world that reflects their highest vision.
What a beautiful and inspiring thought to end on.
It is, isn't it?
It is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into You Are the Universe.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll be back next time with another exploration of ideas that matter.